That's all she wrote, folks. The 2025 NFL season has come to an end, and your champion for the 2025 season is the Seattle Seahawks. Super Bowl 60 is in the books. This is your productive conversation regarding Super Bowl 60, our reaction to the game, and it's the Seattle Seahawks who defeat the New England Patriots by a score of 29-13, and the Seattle Seahawks have now won their second Super Bowl title. And some of the good things that happened within this game include Seattle's dark side defense absolutely controlling the game from start to finish, sacking Drake May 6 different times and forcing crucial turnovers. The key defensive play was a big interception return for 45 yards for a touchdown after Devon Witherspoon jarred the ball loose, swinging the momentum decisively and completing this win for the Seahawks. And this game was pretty tight for the first 3 quarters and not a lot going on. And Seattle mainly leading the game solely on their kicking game, their field goal. Something I've said often on every single one of these NFL podcasts is don't take the foot out of football, because that really ultimately decided the game. Jason Myers hit all 5 field goal attempts, and that sets a Super Bowl record now. And with that, Seattle's first touchdown came in the 4th quarter when Sam Darnold connected with tight end AJ Burner for a touchdown. They made it 19-0. Patriots then got on the board late with a Drake May touchdown pass to Mac Hollins, but ultimately it was too far to overcome. In a game that were truly dominated for the first 3.5 quarters, Patriots made a little push at the end, but it was too late. And with that, we'll do some quick reactions and talk with Ryan Page here. And my name is Matt Brown. I am the host of Productive Conversations podcast on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Ryan, hello. Good to see you. And
how's it going?
it's all done now. I'm good. A very
It is all
bittersweet
done now.
moment. Just bittersweet. I feel the game did live up to the hype. A lot of people were excited, and it wasn't that exciting of a game. We had some moments towards the end, but it was all Seattle in this one, and they successfully cover that 4.5-point spread. They have successfully doubted all these haters. Maybe they weren't the flashiest team. They're in a small market, maybe not get a lot of noise throughout the year, but they got the job done and won pretty handily. Sam Darnold, the 3rd overall pick in the 2018 draft by the Jets, and he was let go because they thought Zach Wilson was a better option, and now he made that team look stupid. The Carolina Panthers had him for 2 years. They look stupid. The 49ers had him, and they look silly. Sam Darnold was the backup quarterback for Brock Purdy in Super Bowl 58. The ultimate losers here, the Minnesota Vikings, who gave them 14 victories this year, a season ago,
Yeah,
and they
no.
decided to go with J.J. McCarthy.
I was gonna say I don't think it's fair to call the 49ers out in this. Like
No, but they could have. But
they
at the
could have,
ultimate
but
day,
Brock Purdy,
he's a champion, and Brock Purdy is not. And
yes,
the
but he was
49ers.
close.
No, I think they would
Purdy's
have
been there.
won. I think Sam Darnold's way better than Brock Purdy. I even thought, if you asked me that yesterday, I would
I
have
don't
said,
know that I actually agree with that, but that's a different conversation for a
no,
different
you are
episode.
completely wrong. That is absolutely farce. Sam Darnold, as even Sam Darnold at his A game, is a very accurate passer. Sam Darnold's made the most with various weapons, and now he's the one who has a
Oh, he's a
Super
world
Bowl.
champion. That's
Not
right.
Dan Marino, not Lamar Jackson, not Josh Allen, not Brock Purdy. Sam Darnold earns his flowers on this one.
100%. Based on that and that alone, you gotta give him the flowers because he won the Super Bowl. That's just a fact. He did win the Super Bowl.
Remember, 0 turnovers in the entire postseason, including this game as
I
well.
know. I thought they were gonna get the shutout, Matt. I really did. I was like, oh my God, the Pats aren't gonna score. They ended up scoring twice, but I really thought we were heading toward a shutout. first in Super Bowl history. Honestly, that's what kept me watching throughout the fourth was this idea that we might actually see a scoreless game out of New England. Yeah, they weren't good. I think it's. I think we should just say start with that. New England Patriots offense was horrible. Not even bad, horrible. Um, I mean, Drake May looked lost. They had absolutely no kind of. They just didn't have anything on that side. Like they went. They had one first down in the entire first half. One first down in the entire first half. Like I didn't even pull up the stats because you know me when we do a football show, I talk about possessions and there's no need to. One first down in the entire first half. Of course they lost the football game.
Yeah, they had
Um,
no chance. The running game that was very powerful throughout the regular season, especially with the rise of rookie Trevion Henderson.
mhm.
They barely used that running back by committee today. Didn't
Yeah.
really use it much in the playoffs either, but I think whether it was understanding this four-man power rush, again, 6 sacks between them, almost everybody got a sack each in this game. The exception of Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence, every single tight end, defensive end or defensive lineman got a sack.
Mhm.
Um, we could talk about the left guard, the fourth overall pick. Yes, the left tackle, fourth overall pick. Will Campbell was having a lot of trouble trying to protect Drake May, especially in this game.
Mhm.
He was extremely exposed out there. And yeah, they just couldn't get the ball down the field until the very end when they were just trucking it and just giving Hail Marys. Stephon Diggs barely showed up for this. No, Kevon Booty didn't have a good game. Um, no Hunter Henry for the tight end, even though I think he was the number one receiver ultimately with around 39 yards at the top of my head.
Cooper Kupp ended up with 61. Sorry,
I'm
that's the
saying
wrong
for the
guy. Mac
Patriots.
Hollins, 78.
Okay, Matt Collins. So he was the one who scored too. So besides
Yeah.
him, one of the other tight ends, not really much going on there. And that was all from that big 50-yard pass before. So yeah, the Patriots kind of looked like the team people expected to see ultimately. A team that wasn't tested more ultimately all season long. A team that a team that only beat two teams above 500 in the regular season. But a lot of breaks go their way and they just looked ill prepared, couldn't keep up, and miraculously get 30 points on the board towards the end, and they
I
just
mean,
didn't have anything to show for it.
the second of the like I don't want to be too mean to the Patriots. I know I picked them at last episode. You can go back and hear me, right? But only one of those scores came in real time. The second time they scored was junk time.
Yeah.
Like the Seahawks had already won the game. The Seahawks were barely playing when they scored again. So the Pats got exactly one score in the real football game. And again, they got up into the first half. They had exactly one first down. Sometime in the third was their second first down, and it's there was definitely some nonsense. I watched with a few Pats fans who were mad about it. We could talk maybe a little bit about that, but honestly, I don't know that it's worth it to talk about some of the nonsense because nothing that anyone did had anything to do with how poorly the Patriots did. The Patriots lost because they were not better than the Seahawks. They weren't even in the same category as the Seahawks. If they weren't wearing the same pads, wouldn't have been certain they were playing the same sport as the Seahawks. They were horrible. Drake May was just getting absolutely hammered. He beat Joe Burrow for the what's it called? He beat the record for Joe Burrow because he got sacked 20 times or whatever
Yeah,
it
over
is
the
in the
postseason.
postseason.
Yep.
Yeah. So good on Drake. He did break a record with this performance. Um, yeah, the offense really screwed it for the defense too. Because like I said, Pat's defense came out and actually did all right. I mean, this is a good Seattle team, and they couldn't score a touchdown till the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was only Kenneth Walker who gave him trouble. If they stopped him, who won your MVP,
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker over 135 rushing yards in this game. And yeah, if they somehow stopped him, who knows? It could have been a lot closer.
Christian
Uh,
Gonzalez had a couple of close calls at a
yes,
pick. If
he
any
was
one of those
great.
was a pick, that could have easily been a game-changing pick for them. Which is
Yeah,
not
the
to say
last
that he should
touchdown,
have.
the last field goal going into the
Hmm.
half. That should, if he, I mean, it was a good hit down, but he probably should have
Yeah.
ultimately create the takeaway because that would have been three less points in this game, and it's all
Hmm.
about momentum, and
Yep.
especially with this. And I mean, Drake May really looked like a lost puppy out there. Didn't look
Oh, he
confident.
didn't. No.
Um, Throwing into pressure. Bro, there was the one interception from Devon Witherspoon was a cross route, but he threw it way too early where it was behind him and it was by and there were three people and he
And he
was triple coverage
stepped
and he caught him.
into the pocket for that one that got that one pick. He stepped into the pocket. He was out of he was out away from everybody. He moved forward in the pocket into coverage to throw it short. You
Hmm.
could have thrown it short from behind. Well, you're gonna step up and then throw it short? No, you gotta throw it. That if you're gonna step up, it's because you know you gotta throw it far and you need to hit all the way. What I mean, I don't know who their backup is. I'll be honest with you, and this is
It's
cheating.
Tommy
So,
Cutlets.
oh boy. Well, okay, that's probably why. Anyway, if they had an experienced backup, if they had an old man as backup, I think I would have benched Drake May sometime in the second half because oh, who the fuck cares? You're gonna lose. You might as well show him that he can't perform that badly and still get to play football for your organization. No, it was kind of boring. By the fourth
Yeah,
quarter, I
this is
was
our second Super Bowl in a row where the game was boring.
by the fourth quarter, I was actively rooting for the Patriots to not score. Because at least then it would have been a historic game in that it was a shutout and that's never happened before. Um, so like, yeah, no, this was bad. And I do think that this is something that and they're not going to change anything, nor should they. But this does show you that not all wins are created equal. The Patriots did not have a hard schedule. They did not have a hard postseason, and that's just lucky breaks. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and they finally
But
got tested.
yeah, but it's one thing to get tested and come up short because you haven't had a real test. It's another thing to get tested and like flunk. And I would call this a flunk. I would sit here and say I can name off the top of my head several teams on their side of the ledger who would have had a better game against the Seattle team than them. They didn't feel like they should have been a playoff team based on the game that we saw today. I understand that they won, but it's clear that they didn't really win. Like really, this if this is the best that they could do, I
Representing
know
the AFC.
right. I can tell you with an absolute fact, the Bills, the Jaguars, obviously we don't have a healthy Broncos, but a healthy Broncos, all three of those teams, and Jaguars are out early, would have done better in this game than the Patriots did. This was a horrible game. I can't
You,
stress that enough.
you know the one thing from this loss though with Sam Darnold and the various bouncing of places and talking about development, Sam Darnold, 28 years old, will turn 29 in June.
Hmm.
The one thing they can say with Drake May, well, he's only 23 years old, needs time to develop.
Sure.
And that's the one excuse that they can ride on.
Well,
But
well, Drake.
luckily, you can't go backwards aging wise. So
Yeah,
I still think Drake May has it in him.
yeah,
He is
yeah.
second in the MVP overall votes, but
Yes.
tonight was a hard humbling of life for him and this whole team.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, like, yes, him, but he had what, two turnovers? He had the fumble and he had the
Yes.
interception, and obviously you can't have two turnovers, obviously. But would not be fair of me to sit there and say Drake May was the reason they lost this game. He's one of them. The whole team played bad. The whole team played bad. Where was Stephon Diggs? Nowhere.
He was
Matt
often
Collins.
pressured. If it was anything there's no one to blame, it's the offensive line who created a lot of pressure
Yeah,
this whole game and didn't have
exactly.
time to think.
So
And
that's what
that's
I
when
mean.
you
Like, it's
panic
not.
and you
Yeah.
make dumb decisions.
So yeah, so I wouldn't even say this is indictment on Drake May, but I would say look at Sam Darnold, Drake May. It took him what, four teams to get here?
True.
So
And yeah, this the whole
yeah,
thing, It took 7. I mean, if you want to say anything, he got drafted at 28 years of truly developing to get to this point, and he's got 5 years until that. But I mean, yeah, what this Patriots did, they just are here way too early, if anything,
Yeah.
too. Very young team, but I
The
mean, clearly
AFC,
they have
frankly, should be a
moments
little
there.
embarrassed. Actually, if we're going to be completely honest, the AFC should be embarrassed because the Pats were definitely not ready, as we talked about, and that just
Hey, it
shows you
was
how poorly
open.
the AFC did. Yeah, that's how poorly everyone in the AFC did. That the Patriots, who were not quite ready yet, were still one of, if not the best team over there. But also, as much I've been focusing a lot on the Patriots because they were really, truly very bad. But like I said, Seattle's defense, you talked about that. They were great. Sam Darnold, I mean, he proved that it was not his fault, which I think everybody kind of knew at this point, except for apparently the management over in Minnesota. They didn't seem to get that get that to get that notification. But so I guess good for him to prove that he earned that pick all those years ago, and it was the Jets that ruined him. And well, it was. So we got that bit of confirmation for anybody who needed it.
They didn't know what they had.
Well, in fact, they also didn't know how to use him. I mean, they don't know how to use any quarterback. They've never done it correctly. So that's, par for the course. But
Yeah, it's
I
just
will say though, and I don't know, I want to get your take on it. Watching this game, and again, 29-13, obviously looks like the Seahawks did great. But they couldn't score a touchdown until the fourth, right? I don't know that I think that the Seahawks team is in a strong position for like next year. Like I don't know that I'm putting all my money down on Seahawks making it back into this spot. Like neither one of these teams feels like we're going to see them next year. I don't know if you've got that vibe, but that was my vibe. It was like this was a weird year with weird injuries and whatnot, and weird play, and we kind of ended up with this kind of fluke, if you will, of a Super Bowl. And I don't know that either one of these teams is about to be a perennial contender to win the title. Do you agree or disagree?
what was great with Seattle was they were the number one scoring defense, but they
Hmm.
were a defense that did let up in the passing game. Not today, but they were
No.
eighth in there, and they were at the right place at the right time because they did play great in this playoff teams against harder teams.
Oh
The
yeah,
real Super Bowl was that NFC Championship when they pulled it off. You
against
also
the Rams.
have
Yeah.
aging players. Some of their best players are older. Leonard Williams been in the league for 12 years, another
Hmm.
former Jet. DeMarcus Lawrence, another
Hmm.
one's been there a long time. I mean, I feel like that is going to be harder for them with the. I think remember the 49ers are still a great team. Everybody
Hmm.
got hurt. They're going to be tough competition next year. And the Rams too. They're in a very tough division, but they made plays when it matters most.
Hmm.
So I think the Seahawks would be more. I do think most. I think these teams can be competitive. They've good futures ahead. But the league's just going to get better.
Yeah.
And um whatever's happening. I don't know what the Bills are such. If we're going by division with the, if we're going by the conferences, there are teams on the rise like the Jaguars. I think they're in a really great spot with a young head coach,
Yeah. Oh,
great
so
team.
good.
Travis Hunter was hurt a lot this year, and if he really is the player they think he's going to be, that's going to be a
Hmm. Oh,
solid
yeah.
thing going on there. Carolina's on the rise. They have the rookie of the year. Bryce Young shows he can hang.
Hmm.
Even though that's the NFC, the Bills are still the Bills. You got they're in an interesting spot, but if they could get big players or luck it out in the draft, they should compete with everybody. But the Bills are still gonna Bills. Who knows what Detroit's gonna do? They've been hurt this year.
Hmm.
The Giants, what they have with that very good roster now with a competent head coach,
Hmm.
watch out for the Giants. They're growing. So it's going to be different. I do think we're going to, and then the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Who knows what they can pull off?
Yeah.
I don't know if Kelsey's coming back. There's rumors he is, rumors not.
Allegedly, he is again not confirmed, but the rumor is he is.
What is Patrick Mahomes? What's special? I mean, if he really could come back from this ACL surgery like Adrian Peterson did with an MVP, you can't you can't uh you can't count him out. And the Chiefs are picking way higher in the draft. Chiefs are still going
Mm-hmm.
to Chiefs. So yeah, this is going to be more wide open. Maybe some teams we're used to seeing who took breaks will be back, but ultimately you did what you had to do in the moment, and Seattle went all out, and they're the champions now. And they showed it
Mm-hmm.
with, and it was mostly the defense. It showed that Sam Darnold still has a great career. He still has his whole career ahead of him, but he's now a champion. And that's what's cool, good about this game is that you could be like the Patriots, go from the fourth overall pick to the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
um, and stuff like that. So
You
I'm
could
intrigued.
place a journeyman behind center, and he can win you a Super Bowl. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Essentially,
is yeah, Sam
yeah.
Darnold was not a
And what
franchise quarterback. And now he
Yeah,
is,
and
but
this wasn't a flashy game, but
no.
what was important was it was clean. As I said, no turnovers, got the ball down when he
Hmm.
needed to. And if certain players, make catches
Even
they
the
need to or
Pats didn't turn
whatever.
it over a ton,
Yeah,
and they
no, they
did
didn't turn it
too.
to the way end. So it shows why why you have to make plays when you need to. And honestly, the unsung hero of this game um is the punter for Seattle, arguably the best punter in the league.
Yeah,
He was able to
dude,
get
he pinned them down so often.
yes, a lot of those drives started in way deep into their own end zone,
One was like a
less than 10
5.
yards. Yeah, there
Not
were
even that one
some.
was like the 3 or the 5 or something. They had one. I was like, oh my God, it's a really good
And
punt.
he had a lot of good moments in the regular season too, and this postseason. Even he was great
Mm,
in the NFC Championship. So as I said, and will always say, you can't take the foot out of football, and
no.
um, that's why
Yeah,
these
I
things
didn't know that
matter.
was a big thing, but I've been hearing people complain about that recently about the kicking. I'm like, Shut up."
Well, the field goal kicking, yeah, has been tough in this. Like, there have been some bad misses, but
Sure.
still, you got to have good punchers to put the ball in good positions,
Yeah.
and we're here. We are here. And
No, that was
now
yeah.
the Seattle Seahawks are your Super Bowl champions, and well deserved. And we'll see what happens next year. We still got a draft in a couple of months, and February, April 20th. Oh, yeah, April 23rd. Excuse me,
Hmm.
is the big day. So take some time off on that and watch what happens. By the way, it's Michael Dixon, the punter,
Okay.
Australian. So
Oh
shouts to
yeah, I saw
Australia.
his what's it called? I saw his little helmet had the Australian flag on it.
Yeah, and so that's pretty cool. And I'm pretty satisfied. Nope, it wasn't a Super Bowl for the ages,
Yeah.
but still a Super Bowl. Super Bowl is a Super Bowl, and we still have a champion. And um, love this game, and we'll be back next year. We completed 252 regular season games,
Hmm.
and I believe off the top of my head is it. It is 6, 4, 10 to 13 postseason games, so over 260 games discussed, and I think it was great. It was a fun season that was unpredictable.
Interesting season, yeah. I was gonna say hard to
Mm.
pick at some points. Who was going to be doing what in this season? There was a lot of people to keep your eye on, which is always good.
Let's see what's next. So, Ryan, just a few things on how what you think of the halftime show ultimately, and
I
if
thought
you
it was
want to see
good.
tomorrow, we'll have more of the
Yeah,
pop culture side
of
of
course,
the
yeah.
Super Bowl for your tweet cap on Tuesday. But yeah, I think it was a cool Super Bowl. I thought there were some nice moments, some nice Easter eggs. But from I didn't know the kid who got the Grammy was somebody who was a victim of ICE.
He
That
was
was
an
nice.
actor, but he was meant to look like him. That's what the I read
Is that
that.
was good? Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we'll
it was
see.
meant to be that kid, but I don't think they were able to get that kid. I mean, that kid, by the
So
way,
a homage to children affected by ICE. So we'll take
correct.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
And a
That
real
wedding was real.
marriage.
I'm about to say, the dude at the wedding scene scored more than Drake May did in the Super
Mm-hmm.
Bowl, at least at halftime. No, I obviously don't know what the hell that they were saying. I'm not gonna pretend that I did, but I was talking to people. I was like, I actually really thought the wedding was nice. Uh, they had a lot of different dancers there. Some were
Yeah,
like
the music
older,
was
some were
great.
younger. It was a great vibe. I liked it.
And they set
Again,
up to look like Puerto Rico with all those
yeah,
big raises and stuff like
yeah.
that. And it was sweet. Um, and whoever watched the alternative halftime show, it's really funny. I hope you enjoyed it because it was not good from the clips I've gotten and saved. It was horrendous sound. There was nothing interesting, a dead crowd. But I think it's going to come down to 127 million people watch this halftime show, and about 5 million people watch the Turning Point one.
How
We'll
there
talk
was
more about
five
that
million
later.
people who want to watch Kid Rock is beyond me. I know. By the way, I don't dislike Kid Rock. Actually, I mean, dislike him as a person, but I've never once been like, oh, I don't like the music. But in
And you know,
2026, just leave him. He's fine. Watch clips. You don't need to watch him live.
and for the commercials, I just use the commercials for what they are. I'm just they're not special whatsoever anymore. The
The
only
only
thing I will
commercial. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, the only thing I was just gonna say, maybe a couple trailers were interesting, but not even either. The only one I liked was the Cliff Booth one, and that's a niche audience.
Yeah.
And the Disclosure Day
Disclosure
should
Day
be
looks good. I do want to
interesting,
see that.
but I
But
already saw a trailer for that. So
yeah, Coinbase got everybody with their ad. I will say that.
that is the karaoke, right?
That is the karaoke one. We were all singing. We had no idea what it was, but every person at the Super Bowl party that I was at was singing Backstreet Boys, and then it was like Coinbase, and then we all booed. But it was, that
The
one
rise of
got
crypto
us
and a lot of AI companies are
ton of
on their
AI,
way.
yeah. But no, I did like that, and I also this is just for me, and we could talk about more in when we do the pop culture stuff. Benson Boone and Ben Stiller did an Instacart commercial.
Hmm.
And Ben Stiller, the long and short of it is Benson Boone's doing his flips. Ben Stiller gets jealous, goes all the way up top of like this large set and does a backflip, and then he doesn't land it. And it was pretty funny. So that one made me laugh. That was like silly,
Hmm.
slapstick humor. But I did really enjoy the crypto one, only because it was fun. Everybody got into it. Like, you know what I mean? And no one even thought like this is a commercial. Like, I don't know, whatever this is cool.
Yeah,
And then it was Coinbase.
nice.
But yeah, generally they were fine. Halftime show, I liked last year's better. I will say that. Um, Also, I learned how little my mother knows about Bad Bunny, which is pretty funny. Uh, Her review was she didn't think he was a very good singer. And then I said, "Well, he's a rapper." And she goes, "Well, that makes sense." So after she learned that Bad Bunny wasn't trying to sing, she's like, "Oh, I liked it." So there you go. Old people like Bad Bunny once they learned he wasn't singing. Also, my mom really liked Ricky Martin, but she's always really liked Ricky Martin. So there's that. But yeah, so there you go. So that was my boomer review of so that was my on the real-time boomer review. Was she liked it, didn't think he was a good singer, then realized he wasn't singing, and was like, oh, then he's pretty good. So there you go.
Very well. All right. So that will wrap up this productive conversation. We'll see you back here on Tuesday to talk about what was trending in our world over the weekend. That will be Tuesday's tweet cap. Same thing for Friday. Friday the 13th will be a tweet cap for you then, heading into the Valentine's Day weekend. And that's it. That is your productive conversations coverage of the NFL season. On top of college football, that is all she wrote for football. We'll be back here to talk football again in 2 months' time
Draft.
for the NFL draft that will be on the 23rd of April. And
Yep.
then get back in our season coverage again. You can save it for the date. This will be September 6th, 2026, which will be our first preview. And then on the 13th and 14th will be when the new season kicks off. And
Hmm.
we'll do it all over again. But great work, everyone. Good stuff, Ryan. That is your Super Bowl productive conversation. The Seattle Seahawks are your champions. They defeat the New England Patriots by a score of 29-13, and they are your world champions in football.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll see you soon, Ryan. See you on Tuesday. And congrats to the Seahawks and Sam Darnold again. And if there's anything Sam Darnold shows, it's all about that resiliency and making sure you make the most of your opportunity.
If at first you don't succeed.
But keep trying. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Darnold showed that it's possible. All right. Great work. We will see you all very, very soon. Have a great one.
See ya.